Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel, and it is time for Star Trek. And today I have with me my good friends Skep
Hi, everybody.
and the 1 ton hammer
Hello.
and Dr. Functional.
Yeah.
And today we're going to be talking about Skep topic idea, which is strongest women and the weakest men in
Yeah.
Trek. And this is obviously throughout all 5 of the series that we cover. So, I'm sure we can
Including the
generate,
one with the lady captain.
including the one with the lady captain, yes. And I'm sure we can generate a good list on both sides. I'm fairly sure. Um, and also, I'd just like to um, say that at the end of the show, I'll be playing a little bit of a video, kind of as a tribute and a send off to our fallen comrade, because the Trek stream's not going to be the same. Let's just admit that right there and get the elephant out of the room.
Yeah.
So
we miss our friend Irate Prostate. He died this last week.
We do. And so we'll have a bit of a tribute to Irate at the end of the show.
Irate.
So, but first, let's
subject of this.
Yes, let's do that.
We could discuss in this. Was, when I think of really powerful women, in one sense of power, I think like the Borg Queen. In another sense, I think of like T'Pau or somebody, or Janeway.
Yeah.
In terms of individual, just from you power, assuming that Q does not identify as a woman, you would have to, in terms of just what comes from you personally, not depending on anything outside of you. T'Pau's actually not a terrible choice. You could also say maybe Kai Wen or something. But I know it's weird, but just hang with me. On the other hand, if you talk about what can a female character summon in terms of bringing force to bear, I think it's hard to beat the Borg Queen.
Yeah, because you don't. It's weird because she's a villain, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you usually don't want to like villains,
right?
But she's such a good villain, right? she's the thing that controls the unstoppable Borg, basically.
Yeah,
and she's cold and calculating and manipulative, and
you could see her coming up to you and saying, "I'm the human face of Pfizer Incorporated."
Yes.
She's that kind of corporate evil.
Yes, and it's and the lady they chose for her does such a good job. That
Alice Creech.
Yeah.
Yep.
She was just amazing. Just like the presence, because you can't just have any female actress play a character like that.
Yeah.
Right? Like they need...
you really got a sense of the projection of evil from her.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if you had somebody like Kirsten Dunst, for example, like you would just laugh. You know what I mean? Like you would just laugh. Like
an irreverent, rebellious Borg Queen.
You would just like in Unimatrix Zero when she's killing all the Borg just to get to Janeway. You'd just be giggling to yourself Because it'd be like, ah, there goes another one. Ah,
Yeah.
there goes another one.
It's like Daisy Duck.
Yeah.
There are other people that could have played her though.
Oh, yeah, but I'm just, it's,
Jerry Ryan herself could play her because Jerry Ryan actually did play her in
yep,
Picard. So I mean,
Yep.
it's not like, and she did a good job. She was scary too.
she was
Yep.
scary. It was scarier because there was a possibility that she wouldn't come back.
Yeah.
Like, that was scarier, I think.
The problem I had with our homework assignment for the week was, everybody I came up with, I couldn't help but come up with an opposite about them. Like, take the Borg Queen for example. Was one of my first thoughts was the Borg Queen. So that's a good choice, Skep. But she was defeated by one human.
Right.
But I mean, isn't the thing
I thought of that,
about strong people, isn't the best part about strong people that they have flaws?
Yeah, that's what kept me from making choices to people. I would say, oh, well, this person was great, except, well, wait a minute now. They were made to look really stupid by this, or they were out tricked by this one little thing that anybody could have seen coming. And every time I try to pick somebody, guy or girl, it didn't matter.
Well, plot resolution is a thing.
Yeah.
And the villains have to lose.
They have to
They
lose.
do.
Yeah.
They have
And
to.
so,
I mean,
so
to
you're
Janeway?
kind of, you're making them victims of the plot
Janeway
line.
lost.
But on the other hand, there's part of me that says, yeah, he is, but that's fair. Because that's how we know them, is from the plot line.
Well, and the thing is that I'm trying to
I
say
see
is,
what you're saying.
but the thing that I'm trying to say is that the best part about being a strong person is that you have moments of stupidity and weakness that you have to overcome, right? And I mean, yeah, and then of course there is the plot resolution point, like for villains and stuff like that. But like for example, Janeway obviously was one of my picks for strong women, because even though she had like obvious flaws and she fell victim to them on more than one occasion, Equinox being the big one, she had to grow from those mistakes, right? She had to, and her growth from those choices and mistakes sometimes, more often than not, ended up being part of the plot resolution in itself. Or, it became part of something that she had to struggle with after that. That makes people strong. When you screw up with a major choice and you have to live with that choice. And you have to continue to do life on the path that bad choice has now taken you. Like, you can't turn around, right? And that's part of what helped me make my list, basically, is the women who were able to go, these were my flaws, this is what I did wrong, and now I have to live with it. And on the flip side, the men that just were like, it's everyone else's fault but mine, or like just sheer incompetence. Like, that's what helped me make my lists. Those were my criteria.
One of the other things in this is that some of the beings that in some ways were very consequential did not really have a sex.
Yeah.
What was the name of the thing that killed Tasha? Was it
Argus?
Armus?
No, sorry,
Armus.
Armus.
That was it. Yeah. That, was that a male or female? I know it was played by a male, but
It sounded like a male.
Sounded like a male, but maybe that's what females of that species sound like.
Or maybe they're beyond gender.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they were beyond a lot of things.
They're two spirit.
How does how you, but how do you gender an emotion too, right? Because Armus was supposed to be
Anger, hatred.
pure hatred, pure,
Yeah,
basically all of the negative emotions from his race or its race was put into Armus. So
Right.
how do you gender hatred and psychopathy and evil and malice and jealousy? Like, how do you put a gender on that?
Have you seen Janeway?
Well played.
Well played. Well played indeed.
No,
Anger
you're
is
you're
male,
entirely
says
right.
Scribe.
It is generally
That was
ascribed
fun.
with, masculinity, but I think it's not so much anger as it is, physical strength.
Yeah.
And just like any other kind of tool, it's not the tool that is indicative of its benefit or detraction, but rather the use of it. But I mean, it's a fair point.
Yeah.
Another thing is, if you think about the resources that Janeway has available to her,
Yeah.
she would be she's certainly a very strong woman.
I would like look at what happened when they were stranded on the that planet by the Kazon and
Kazon,
Seska.
right? Yep.
Yeah.
Jane, like everyone else, was like, what do we do?
Yeah.
And
And you also-
Janeway kind of pulled them all together and was like, survival training, remember your survival training, and was like delegating and, just even going to the point where it was like, okay, well, if we have to eat bugs, we have to eat bugs. You tell them it's an order from their captain.
Yeah.
Like, that's guts, like.
Wow.
And you got to remember her history, her past, her experiences. She's a science captain. She's not your Picards, your
No.
Cisco's. But at the end of the day, like with your example, she is still a Starfleet trained captain.
Yeah.
So she has that knowledge, she has that experience, but she's less of she's still very strong, but she has less of a tactical mind.
Yeah,
compared
she's got
to-
more of the science mind.
Yeah. Always trying to find that more scientific way, where Picard was always mostly trying to find a diplomatic way, and Cisco liked to just, a little bit of diplomacy, but mostly shoot it out, because that's just the settings that they're in. But I think it really does help solidify her character as a strong female character.
Yes.
In that she's a little bit lower, but the amount of the strength that she sort of makes up on that scale really just.
And her adaptability. Like, she's a lot better at thinking on her feet than I would say. Like, and I love Picard, right? He's my favorite captain. But Picard very much needs his meeting, right? His round table discussion.
The formalism, the
formalism, yeah.
aspect of his job.
Janeway is very much more like, she has meetings, but she's very much more, this is what I've come up with. Now tell me how you guys can accomplish it. Right? Yeah. She's very much more the thinking on her feet. Like, if you look at the episode of Macrocosm, when the viruses were attacked, like, she was like, okay, I'm the only one who's conscious now. I'm going to build myself a quick little survival pack and like weapon, like figure out, like, and basically learning about the virus as she went, right?
I've just got to tell you, you're actually kind of talking about something in management theory called X, Y, and Z management. Let me just explain this really quickly because it has real relevance, particularly with the points that you're making. Theory X management is the boss tells the workers what to do and screams at them when they do it wrong. Okay, that's Theory X management. Theory Y management guy comes to work. The people want to do a good job. All I have to do is, elevate them and make them, make them comfortable, and they will do an excellent job just because they will pursue it. The Theory Z manager is the one who comes in and says, what do I have to get done, and what makes the best sense? Who has the capability, the personality, the skills, the experience? How do I need to organize? Who do I need on the team? How do I need to organize it? And who needs to be the principal source of particular kinds of guidance to the people doing specific tasks on the team?
Right.
That's what Janeway is.
Yeah.
She is a Theory Z manager. And as you were saying that, it just was so blindingly clear to me that I don't know. I just felt the need to call it out.
Yeah, that's exactly what she is. This is what idea I have now. Who on my team do I have that can accomplish that idea?
Yes,
that's Janeway. That's Janeway to a T. And I would also say, like, for my other, what did anyone else have any? Did anyone else have another woman besides Janeway, or maybe not pick Janeway for any reason?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
And now I'm about to trigger Skep and Hammer. Kira.
Kira.
But
God
the
damn it.
independent mirror universe version of Kira.
Ah.
Okay. Even the actress aside, because I know that she's not great.
Yeah.
She's awful at times. But the character to me, and it just seemed Bajoran women in general, always had this strength, even though they seem so diminutive compared to other people, even other races like Klingons.
Yeah.
And the thing with the Intendant was she had a lot of that experience in dealing with Klingons and Cardassians, but she... very, very flawed character. But she, through terror and force of will alone, inspired this following of the Alliance from people who could potentially, if we just go away from plot armor and everything, could probably crush her with a single swing of their fist.
Well, it's not to mention the fact that the mirror universe was very male oriented, like very
patriarchal.
Females, very patriarchal. Females were very much a second class citizen.
Yeah, females and then
universe.
aliens and then alien females.
Yeah.
Which were alien females of all types were practically slaves.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, everybody was practically slaves in the hierarchy, but even more so, they had this really weird level of sort of like who has value. So you had, Terran males being at the top of the hierarchy,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody else was less than. It was very, obviously it was very inspired by, a certain political party from the mid-century. Well, with good reason. That's they won, so to speak, and that's how, they instead of being diplomatic with the Vulcans, they stole the technology. So it stands to reason. And so for her to not only be alien but female, and to also sort of demand this respect from the resistance, because the resistance in DS9 was the Terran Empire.
Yes.
Was something to behold. And again, the acting wasn't great, but to me, in my own sort of like headcanon, I imagine it more as this very strong character, because like you guys, I found kind of a hard time going through and being like, okay, well, she's strong, but she's also very, very flawed, and she's this and that,
Yeah.
So stretching a little bit, but I really, really liked the character, the
I
idea
like
of the character.
I like Mirror Universe Kira better than regular Kira. I will give you that. I do find Mirror Universe Kira more palatable, even though she's pure evil. I just
at least
she's a complete hedonist.
yeah.
You know, that's one thing about the Kira character. I was thinking, what could you have done to fix that character? One of the things that they might have done would be to make her broken, brutally logical, emotionless.
Yeah.
Because she could play that.
Yeah.
she does not have much emotional transmission at all. And I think if they had been a little smarter about that part, if they cast her and knowing that she was limited in emotional projection, they should have
Written her that way.
Yeah.
And
it wouldn't have been that hard.
And the other one I thought of, BP, was Beverly Crusher.
I agree.
Near the end of the series, they were pushing too much, like with the transphasic shielding and like, I mean, at the end of the series, like, you can obviously see it's kind of stretching for ideas, but throughout the rest of it, I mean, she was always a calm, calculating professional. Still had emotions. Wasn't, like a Vulcan, or like how Skep was sort of trying to re-envision Kira, but was also very, just she was empathetic, but she was also very matter of fact, and didn't really ever reach past her station.
No, but she had the balls to take on other.
Like when Picard was sick. No, I'm gonna override you. I'm the chief medical officer. Screw off,
when Worf was sick.
When Worf was sick.
Yeah. And
Heroes do not faint.
That was Pulaski, but
oh right.
When the cargo container fell on Worf, and he was paralyzed, and they brought in the doctor who said that she could regenerate his spine.
Oh right.
But then she basically lied and like fudged her test data, and Worf was going to be her official first test case.
The Genetron.
Yeah, the Genetron.
He was going to be a guinea Klingon.
He was gonna, yeah. And Beverly,
she dropped the hammer.
Dropped a hammer on her because she, like, before she used it on Worf, they had a medical emergency, and she gambled on some patients.
Mm-hmm.
And like, yeah, it worked, but Beverly was like, that is not how we practice medicine anymore, like, at all. We haven't done that in, like, you know what I mean? Like, she was like, that, no, you're relieved of duty.
She was totally bearing her fangs there, and you could see that fire. Like, that was how. Again, this is why I see her as a strong character. She has these convictions, these morals, and when people cross them, she's like, no. She will not back down, even if it's something as like, trying to save the lives of remember the terrorists that wanted to kill her. They kidnapped her. Blah 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 blah. She still had her morals and convictions, but in part of those convictions and morals, like, her dedication to Starfleet ideals, there was also the medical side of her convictions, where she would still help them, even though they're terrorists. She would not let somebody die, but she's not going to help them, blow something up or whatever, something stupid like that.
Exactly.
And I thought that is pinnacle Crusher. Later seasons, with the metaphasic shielding and talking down to the engineer lieutenant about, this isn't possible. It's kind of like, you're pushing too much. You want her to be more of a Janeway, less of a Beverly Crusher. No, keep her a Beverly Crusher.
You're right. You're absolutely
Pat,
right about that.
Welcome to the stream, Pat.
Targ. Dog with his guinea targ.
Guinea targ. You mean it's a pussycat? Yes, I suppose you could call it that. Anyone else have Ensign Rowe on their strong women
It was
list?
going to be my choice.
Ah, yeah. What were your reasons, Hammer? I want to see if they match up with why I put her on.
She's just it doesn't seem like you can push her around. She's just too savvy and present. I don't think you can trick her or there's something about her that's just very solid. Of course, she has a chip on her back or her shoulder. And
but
that
it's
kind
there
of thing.
for a reason. Like it's
But
not.
she always seems to be one step ahead of everybody. Even when she's drawn into situations where she doesn't like it, she knows both sides of the argument. So, she gets recruited to do something that is technically against the captain of the ship.
Yeah.
But she knows that he's going to be pissed, so she knows how to work around that. She's just very competent, and it's hard to find any real flaw. Even her defection to the Maquis is not really a flaw. I mean, it's an emotional decision.
I wouldn't
but
even
it
call
makes
it
sense.
a defection, really, because she didn't sneak away. Like, you know how most defectors, like the Romulan defector, right? He stole a scout ship. He snuck away. Like, he took vacation time so it would look like he was just gone. Like, you know what I mean? But Roe went right to Picard and was like, this is where my convictions are taking me. I have to do this. Right? Like, and that's, again, really a very gutsy move. Like, it would be easier to just sneak away.
Yeah.
Well, there's nothing in the actual definition of a defector that says they had to be sneaky.
Right.
But there are examples of other defectors in the show being sneaky. Admiral Jarok, for one. But yeah, she just makes a decision based on all the information at the time. And of course, her heart is what drives her to make that decision. But she does look at it logically after her heart says, this can't be right. I have to change something.
Yeah.
What am I going to change? And then she takes a logical step and says, well, I just don't feel this way about Starfleet. I need to move on.
Yeah.
So, it's...
I don't think it's so much logic, but more like a sense of utilitarianism.
I'm more useful over here, so I need to go over here.
Yeah. Just a thought. I don't know. But yeah, Ro's a great character. I love Michelle.
Yeah.
She's great.
Let's see. We were asked if anyone picked Uhura. Actually, yes. I did. I know that she may be kind of portrayed as just, she sits on the bridge or whatever, but she has some, like was said in chat, she has a quiet strength about her. She does. Like, she's...
We saw that in the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you got glimpses of it in the show. Like, even in like when she was put in certain situations in away missions, like, she didn't just, like, some of the other female officers would just crumble. Uhura was not a woman that crumbled or anything under pressure. Or even when Nomad wiped her brain clean, like, the fact that it took her, what was it, like a week and a half to relearn everything, just because she was that determined. Like, and you saw her, like, in the scene with the reading cards, like, she was getting pissed off because she was, like, thinking in Swahili and not in English. And, like, you could see the, God damn it, why isn't this just working for me, right? The just the independence, like it was just, yeah. I picked Uhura.
There were a lot of female characters that, were strong in places.
Yeah.
And I actually thought this was easier to find strong women than it was to find the weak men.
Yeah, I sort of agree with you, and I sort of, like, I'm half with you and half not, because
there are a lot of men with weaknesses. That's
Yeah.
not the problem. In terms of
Weak
comparing them to
character.
one another,
yeah.
which one is weaker than another, which was the way I was approaching it at the time.
Well,
And
the show was filmed at a time where you weren't really allowed to show a man who was weak anyway. So I don't blame you for not being. I couldn't find anybody either.
Well, I kind of looked at it this way. I looked at, because there were some people who, even if they were main characters, they just didn't, like, they just weren't written well, or they just were written with flat personality. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I have seen Star Trek Discovery.
Poor you. So then I looked at people like Chakotay. I looked at people like Eddington. I looked at people like even Zek. Or like just people like that. As Jake.
I can only come up with one person who I thought was a weak male in all of the shows, all the different series. I can only come up with one person I thought that's a weak person, and the person I came up with was Key West Fajo, the trader collector. That's the only person I can come up with. I thought that's a coward.
Yeah,
that's the only person. I poured over it because
it's a good choice.
I didn't want to. Yeah, I didn't want to walk in and just say I have no idea about any of these guys. I'm an idiot, and just leave it there. I spent time trying to. What about this person? I started going through the series and looking at the rosters of the shows.
Yeah,
and I was like, no, he's okay. No, he's okay. And I just had to chalk it up to, especially with TOS, is that in the day, 1963, 2, whatever it was, they're filming this kind of stuff. Back in those days, they couldn't really show a weak man on TV and have it be acceptable to the people at the time. So
yeah,
that kind of thing didn't happen until the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah,
when you had like your Homer Simpsons, your Al Bundys.
Yeah,
right.
That's kind of why I didn't even I agree with you. I didn't even look at TOS because I was like, I'm not gonna find one. They're not gonna write unless it's like freaking Harry Mudd or something like that.
I was just about to say Harry Mudd.
Okay. All right. Well, here's one. This is another one of those unsexed aliens. Tribbles. Are they weak or are they strong?
They're just there.
But the tribbles represent a real threat to somebody who has them infesting their spaceship.
That is true.
They multiply,
or infesting anywhere, really.
They multiply. Yeah, they increase exponentially, and they consume every bit of food in a surrounding area. And when they consume food, that makes them horny. More. Yes.
And they don't even have to have sex.
Exactly. They just
and they don't just eat food. They also eat cables.
Yeah, cables too. They absolutely will tear your ship up.
It's a hard question to answer because do they have the sentience to have a personality that you can say that personality is weak or strong? Can they be a threat? Sure. And they can be easily killed too. But as far as being a strong or weak entity, do they have enough intelligence, enough smarts?
No, I would say not.
I mean,
we don't really know. that part of their, they may have amazing transdimensional, super morality that we could never even understand. Who knows?
So could a phaser. I mean, I understand what Blind's initial reaction was. It's like they're just there. Well, yeah, they are just kind of a prop. Really, they're not. They don't really. Nobody ever speaks to one. I mean, they can get a reaction from one by handing it over to a Klingon.
Yeah,
but I don't know if
this is my.
I would never even have thought of that though. So that's a pretty brilliant thing to think of, though. So it wouldn't even cross my mind to think about a Tribble. That's pretty smart.
This is my chicken sandwich and coffee. I don't care what it takes, but I want these things off my ship. It's like the best line in that show.
Nobody thought Wesley was weak.
I was about to say Wesley to me is a weak character.
Or is that just too obvious?
He's immature.
Yeah.
And,
no,
at the end of the day, I cut kids slack.
But see, I wouldn't though, because I don't cut him slack, because they wrote him to be older than he is.
No, they wrote him to be more intelligent than the average kid.
Yeah,
that's Hammer's got that exactly.
And but with that intelligence comes more responsibility.
Right.
Like
now, regardless of responsibility and intelligence, his personality is he a weak person? Is he easily pushed around?
I would say so.
Is he volatile? These are all things that are about whether they're weak in their heart or not.
I would say he's easily pushed around. Like even in the first duty, it took Picard yelling at him to have him do the right thing.
But
it took Nick Locarno yelling at him to do the wrong thing.
What was the whole thing where we got shut up Wesley from? Didn't he stand up and say, "You guys would have listened to me if I was an older officer"?
Yeah, that's like the one time he did that though. Like that's like, and he wasn't even doing it. Like
so maybe he's a little of both, kind of.
He sounded very petulant when he did it too. Like may I point out that this would all be different to me if I was an older officer. Is
he so mature that he hasn't had the training to speak up and be a strong person yet?
I don't think so, because his mom is not like, from the way I see Dr. Crusher, like from what we see of her as a character, as a mom and as a doctor, I don't see her like being the kind of person that, like, she's there for Wesley, but I don't see her, always doing stuff for him or always coddling
I would say
him.
just the opposite. I would say she does baby him. Whenever she talks about him, she gets all whimsical. Oh, my poor little Wesley. She's very much like, and he grew up without a father. So I would just say the opposite of that. You need a father to get that sense of,
I think the pushing around by his parents, both to follow in his father's footsteps and his mother's sort of push into Starfleet, this is all stuff that other people wanted for him, and we see that in his send-off, in that he rejects Starfleet and that life because he never really fit into the role. Yes, he was super intelligent, and there was something about him that was more than just the average person, and that's why he went with the Traveler, because
and
reasons.
The Traveler was just super creepy.
I mean, it was a little bit forced to get him off the show and to get rid of him and whatever. But I mean, deep down in his character's root sort of personality, that was another person either pushing him to what he wanted to do or pushing him to something different from something he didn't want to do. Starfleet officer. Even though throughout the show where we do have him, he's like, yes, I'm going to be the best Starfleet officer. And I see a lot of that in Harry Kim.
Mm-hmm.
They both get pushed around. They both seem to be this fish out of water that everybody else has these expectations.
Yeah.
And you can tell exactly why from anyone who knows like just cursory psychology. Wesley's got parental issues. Yes, he grew up without a father for most of his life. And Harry has different parental issues from that sort of stereotypical, Asian
Only
family
child,
kind of.
Asian family.
Exactly. They need to push.
Overachiever. Yeah.
And again, I'm not saying I dislike Harry Kim or anything like that as a character.
Unfortunately, he's just a weaker character. Like
I would say he's an even weaker Wesley.
Yeah.
He was more tolerable on screen because Garrett Wang portrayed the character a little bit better. You could see his growth throughout the series, but at the end of the day, they're both still kind of just wishy-washy, just do almost set pieces like Tribbles.
Yeah.
Rather than full flushed out characters like your 7 of 9, your other characters.
Duck Dog says the Admiral from Insurrection, he was weak. Yeah. What the hell was his name? Admiral.
I have to look that up. It's a little too obscure for me.
And that reminds me of another strong woman. Admiral, what's her face? Skinny little blonde chick.
Oh, Nechev.
Nechev.
Or Bitchev.
But she was. Back to the men though.
All right.
Yeah.
Trivia question. Her first name?
Alina.
God, that's just not right.
Alina?
Yep. Admiral Alina Nechev. Nechev.
Yeah.
Nechev.
But I mean, she's portraying, the modern in their timeline representation of what a Russian member of Starfleet would be, like a Russian woman, that kind of very strong, bullheaded. But weak men.
Hey, before we get too far afield, if I could just give us a break here for a moment, as an idea to think about for a upcoming stream, what do you think about which species in all the Star Treks have the best chance of continuing on? And at the end of the universe, which species will survive?
Species.
Yes.
Orions.
Like Klingons, Romulans, Cardassians. Anyway, don't think about it now, but maybe we could do a stream on interesting things about alien races. And that could be one of the questions we would address. I don't know why it just came to me now, but I just thought I'll put it out there, see what they think.
The commander in Insurrection, Admiral Matthew Dougherty.
That's it.
I didn't know his first name.
I'm ashamed to say I don't even remember which one.
I don't either, Functional. Don't feel bad at all.
TNG movies just sort of blend together, and okay, with the skin guys. Right.
They killed him by pulling his skin too tight.
Yeah.
That actually wouldn't kill somebody, but all right, whatever.
He looked like an old evil Riker.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good.
Not bad at all.
Similar bone structure, hair structure, like just very similar physically.
He had the beard and the hair, yeah.
Yeah. Weak characters, or weak men, I should say. Thomas Riker.
Yes.
But with the asterisk of, I know why he's weak. I know why he's at times, because at times he does show great strength and conviction and whatnot. But again, as a total sum character, and we're reaching here, Thomas Riker, obviously he had that trauma and he was left behind, and now he's brought back into a society in which he doesn't fit. He's a newcomer and he's in the shadow of his clone, whatever you want to call it, the real Riker or the turned Riker, and there's some real moments of real weaseliness, like yes, to survive on that planet for the years that he did took great strength and resilience and training and blah 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 blah. Not going to take that away from him, but with his return, trauma aside, with his return to the Society, to Starfleet, and then later trying to join the Maquis and blah blah blah, he was just not a good. Maybe I'm leaning too much on the good versus strong, but they're kind of intermingled at points.
I think you're right, and his reading for his reason for joining the Maquis, like it's just, what was it that Jadzia said? You're a rebel without a cause.
Mm-hmm.
You just joined it so you could be different from Will, basically, which is a stupid reason.
Yeah, you could imagine, you could see him jumping on any cause.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that would count as weak. That would count as weak.
That was counted very weak, I think.
Yeah, I agree completely with you.
And again, like you I think Hammer said it before, like they're a lot of these characters that we're bringing up are, foils, they're enemies, and yes, at the end of the day they've got to lose, because then, what's the point in having a show about heroes?
I would like to say, though, that I think Jake Sisko is a very weak person.
Yeah.
I don't mean that because he's young. I just think he's like got none of the the fortitude, because Sisko, whether you like him or not, he's got fortitude.
He was not his father's son.
He's not his dad's son, and I wouldn't even say he's his mother's son, because his mother at least died on duty on the bridge. And
no, she wasn't on the bridge. She was in her quarters.
Was she?
Yeah.
I thought she was on the bridge.
Nope, she was in her quarters.
She was in engineering.
Or engineering.
Anyway,
yeah.
she wasn't on the bridge, but yeah.
Pretty sure she was on duty at least.
Which would make sense.
Why would she be in duty in her quarters? That wouldn't make any sense.
No, but I didn't know she was in her quarters. I thought she was actually in.
He went and opened a door to a private residence to get her. The thing was on top of her. There was fire. I have a mental projection of the actual thing.
But I mean, like,
yeah, Jennifer was in her quarters when her son Jake, with her son Jake, when a weapons discharge crippled the ship, which doesn't really make sense, because when you're, correct me if I'm wrong, Skep, being the naval guy here, when you're engaging the enemy, all hands on deck, red alert.
Yeah,
I don't think you'd be hanging out in your quarters as an officer.
But she's a psychiatrist. Was she an officer? I thought she was just a plainclothes psychiatrist. Yeah, she was a civilian counselor or something.
Okay.
No, I think she was I think you're
and
right.
That's my mistake.
In answer to your question, if you have supercargo, like what a civilian psychiatrist would be, you do tell them to stay in their quarters.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you do.
Yeah. That's entirely my mistake.
But Jake is he's just whiny. I find he's very whiny. He's very,
even Nog, who was at the start intentionally made to be that sort of he's a Ferengi, first of all.
Yeah.
But he was also whiny. He was, even he found his strength and his calling.
Yeah.
In being the first Ferengi to join Starfleet and making a name for himself and being part of something bigger than him. Jake never did that.
No. I'm gonna be a journalist. Oh.
He does show a little glimpse of that when he says, "No, I'm going to defy my father. I'm going to stay for the occupation of the Jem'Hadar."
Yeah,
but that was it. That was it. The rest of his character, there's no strength there. There's no, what he likes older women, Gabo girls. He wants to write. Come on, man.
That's not new. Like.
And when he's at that forward medical outpost,
with
Bashir, shows a little bit of strength, but even then he's whining, he's complaining.
Yeah.
Eventually, he picks up his nuts and he goes out for the power converter or whatever. But these glimpses of strength aren't really indicative of the whole when you have the character for the most part just being
What did he do on the Valiant? My father wouldn't do this. You know what I mean? Like, that was his for.
You all know who my father is.
He wouldn't do that. You know, it's like, dude, shut up. Just shut up.
Yeah, even when you have a point, you're a whiny little bee. Get out of here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're 5 minutes from the end of the stream. Did you want to?
So I've got 2 short clips that we're going to look at here.
In honor of Irate Prostate.
In honor of Irate Prostate. And of course, they are Star Trek clips. Because, you know, it's the Star Trek stream.
Allegedly.
So, let's see here. First, I've got... so I got rid of the longer one. But we've got this one here first, which is Data asking Picard what the purpose of the ceremony is, of after Tasha's message to everybody. I just want to make sure that it's shared properly. Okay, good, it is. Okay. Why are you not letting me move to the... There we go.
They can see our private chat. Dun dun dun. It's just me yelling at Pinkalo before the show.
Why is it not? Let me try again. Being an ass.
I think what you were doing was sharing your StreamYard page tab.
There we go. There we go.
There we go.
Excellent. Good job. That is what it was, functional.
There we go. Okay.
It's almost like we've done this before, eh, Skep?
Yep.
So, you'll understand when I say, death is that state in which one exists only in the memory of others, which is why it is not an end. No goodbyes. Just good memories. Hailing frequencies closed, sir.
God damn, I love that man.
Yeah, I know.
He says so much just with his facial expression.
We're gonna miss him too, Pat.
The purpose of this gathering confuses me.
Oh, how so?
My thoughts are not for Tasha, but for myself. I keep thinking how empty it will be without her presence. Did I miss the point?
No, you didn't, Data. You got it.
God damn, we don't get shows like this anymore.
Nope. So that's one more. One more.
Oh, this is the one I was gonna recite.
This is the one where I yelled at Pink Hollow, but we can't. It's one of Irate's favorite movies, so. see here. Share.
Oh, it's not. Okay.
All right. Ah, keeps wanting me to dictate. There we go.
We are assembled here today to pay final respect to our honored dead. And yet it should be noted that in the midst of our sorrow, this death takes place in the shadow of a new life, the sunrise of a new world, a world that our beloved comrade gave his life to protect and nourish. He did not feel this sacrifice a vain or empty one, and we will not debate his profound wisdom at these proceedings. Of my friend, I can only say this. Of all the souls I have encountered in my travels, his was the most human. Others.
God damn it, Scotty! Do you have to be doing that now?
Live long and prosper, buddy.
Amen. Live long and prosper.
I'd like to say something as well. I know that he'd probably get a kick out of this quote from Star Trek. I can safely say, to know him was to love him, and to love him was to know him.
And
Those who knew him loved him. Well, those who did not know him
loved him from afar. Well done, Functional. Well done.
Roll on, true brother. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for watching, and we'll bat around the idea for next week of the, what race we think would last the longest, and we'll come back and talk about that. And of course, there will be a coffee stream on Monday. Now, because of there not being one on Friday, 500 is going to fall on Canadian Wednesday, which will be fun. So Functional will be one of the co-hosts, and we'll have a great celebration time on Wednesday. So come by Monday for $4.99, and also tonight, Skep Talk and Functional will be with Harry on Minions.
Giggity.
And on Wednesday at 9, Hammer will be hosting Minions.
Yep. The Wednesday show.
So thank you.
And
all.
you will be on with me Tuesday.
On Tuesday. Yes, I will. I will be on with you on Tuesday night. So that will be lots of fun. So thank you guys all for watching, and have a great rest of your Saturday.
So long, Irate. Thanks for all the fish.
Bye, guys.
Joel on true.